I would now request our next chairperson, Dr. J.S. Anand, to introduce our next speaker. Please, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Our next speaker is Dr. Sanjeev Pathak, who has done his MD and PGDEM from UK, MD from Gujarat University. He is the founder of Vijayaratna Diabetes Diagnosis Center and Treatment Center. He is practicing as a diabetologist and metabolic physician in Ahmedabad. His topic is dissecting the CVOT, what pharma did not tell us. Dr. Sanjeev Pathak, sir, please.
Yes, good morning, everyone, all the delegates. At the outset, I would like to thank the chairpersons, Dr. Jigar Desai and Dr. Anand, for giving me this opportunity. And of course, Dr. Mayur Patel, Dr. Ina Ben, and Dr. Yash Patel, and the whole team of Swastikon, I must thank for bringing up this update on diabetes, the first one of year 2021. We have begun this year with a great hope that the COVID would go away from the society and from the world. I will be talking about the measurement of cardiovascular risk in type 2 diabetic patients. We know that diabetes and coronary artery disease go hand in hand. Diabetes today means coronary artery disease tomorrow. And coronary artery disease is the major cause of morbidity and mortality in people living with diabetes. It is also responsible for huge economical burden to the society. And to add on to this, we Indians developed diabetes also early, and that is why we developed the complications of diabetes also a decade earlier. And that's why it catches us at a very young age in the mid-30s or 40s. It is not surprising to see a person with diabetes developing coronary artery disease. Moreover, the structure and the access to the healthcare is suboptimal in India, and the treatment is becoming expensive. Well, I kind of personally would not agree with this statement, because compared to the other countries, I would feel that the healthcare is actually much better in our country, and this we have seen in the COVID era, and it is less expensive compared to the other countries. The magnitude of the problem, the prevalence of diabetes we know is about 7 to 11% according to the ICMR, and diabetes we know is a CAD equivalent. Yearly event rate in diabetic patient for CVD is about 14 to 47 per 1,000 patients. And according to the CUP study, the prevalence of coronary artery disease in Indian diabetics is about 21.4%. We analyzed our data in 2006 and we published it in International Journal of Diabetes in Developing Countries. At that time, 5,000 plus patients we analyzed, and we found that about 23% of the males and 21% of the females coming to our clinic had coronary artery disease. In 2020, we reanalyzed about 11,000 patients' data, and when we found that about 27% males and 23% females have got coronary artery disease. All this is data of the diabetic type 2 diabetic patients. So in the 15 years, nothing has improved much in spite of better assessment technologies, better control of the lipids, better control of the sugar. Still, the incidence and the prevalence of coronary artery disease in diabetics is not decreasing. Who is at high cardiovascular risk among diabetics? Actually, in diabetics in India, there is nothing like low CV risk. Everyone is either high risk or very high risk. And who is very high risk? Then if a person has score of 10% or more according to the ASCVD risk score calculator, or more than 15% according to ABS or QRIS-3, or in other words, diabetes with one more comorbidities like hypertension or dyslipidemia or smoking or family history, chronic kidney disease, peripheral arterial disease or inflammatory disease, all these make diabetic patients more vulnerable for the development of the atherosclerotic vascular disease. What are the challenges in Indians in the cardiovascular risk assessment? The first and most important being the lack of awareness for prevention of diabetes and the cardiovascular disease. Then the cultural beliefs, the socio-economical conditions, and we physicians in India are so much overburdened taking care of all other things related to the patient that sometimes knowingly or unknowingly, the cardiac assessment is missed, which should not happen. How do we measure the cardiovascular risk? the very important things are, first and most important is the assessment of the individual risk factors and the comorbidities. Then comes the assessment by the various blood tests and the biomarkers. And then the different risk score calculators are available. I think one should use at least one. And then diagnostic modalities whenever indicated and feasible. So what are the risk factors in diabetics as well as in non-diabetics? We know advancing age, male gender, and family history are the irreversible or non-modifiable risk factors. But smoking and certain other factors like hypertension, dyslipidemia, low GFR, microalbuminuria, presence or absence of NFL, sleep apnea, erectile dysfunction, these are partially or completely modifiable risk factors. So we should take care of all this, and amongst all this, probably dyslipidemia is the biggest risk factors, because several studies have shown that elevated LDL, elevated non-HDL are risk factors for development of myocardial infarction. And on the other hand, reduction of this or modification of LDL and the lipid parameters has been consistently shown to reduce the cardiovascular event and the death rate. After assessing the laboratory testing, we must do one of the calculator method. One can use either the ASCVD risk method, or one can use the Framingham risk score, or WHO prediction charts, ACC/AHA ASCVD risk estimator plus, or SCORE, that is popular in Europe rather, systematic coronary risk evaluation, and QRISK-2 or JBS, which are popular in NHS and UK. I think, according to me, the last two probably represent our Indian populations in a better way compared to the other risk scores. You can see from this comparative chart that the JBS or QRISK includes all of this: age, gender, ethnicity, being Indian or from elsewhere, presence or absence of diabetes, smoking, family history of premature CVD, atrial fibrillation, chronic kidney disease, inflammatory disease like rheumatoid arthritis, hypertension, especially systolic, BMI and weight, total cholesterol and HDL. JBS has everything. Whereas the ACC and AHA, the ASCVD calculator, which is much more popular, misses a lot of things. You can see from this slide that the important exclusions in the ASCVD risk estimator are family history, which is very important as far as the cardiovascular risk is concerned, presence or absence of CKD, and presence or absence of inflammatory disease. And because of these reasons, it underestimates the risk, especially in our Indian diabetic patients. Different guidelines ask you to measure the risk based upon different calculators. But this meta-analysis done by Garg et al., he showed us that in 1110 patients, FRS, that is Framingham risk score, was much better than the ASCVD risk calculator, and the QRISK-2 was in between ASCVD and the Framingham risk score. We also did one of the analysis, we'll just come to that a little bit later. But what do the guidelines say? The ADA asks for the ASCVD risk estimator plus. But as I said, three things are missing in that. One is the family history, second is the chronic kidney disease, and third is the inflammatory disease. The ESC and EASD advocates the score. And based upon that, you should calculate the risk and decide what to do for that patient, how aggressively to investigate and how aggressively to treat him. The American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists and Endocrinology Society recommends still Framingham risk score as an assessment tool. And in our experience, we compared all these three in 1112 patients, and we saw that in the retrospective analysis in patients who already had cardiovascular disease, ASCVD was more than 10 in only 53% of the patients. That means it would miss about 47% of the patient, even if the patient had a cardiovascular event. The QRISK or JBS would be positive in 83%, so it would miss only 17%, and Framingham risk score miss about 40%. So amongst all this, QRISK or JBS probably is the best score for our Indian diabetic patients. Whether to screen all the diabetic patients or not, ADA does not recommend as long as the ASCVD risk factors are treated. And it recommends that investigate only if there are atypical symptoms like dyspnea on exertion or chest discomfort, or there is evidence of vascular disease, maybe carotid bruit or TIA history, or stroke, or claudication, or PAD, or ECG changes. The level of evidence is E. But probably, since we Indians are at significantly high risk and we develop diabetes and cardiovascular disease much earlier, it would be prudent to screen the patients who have high ASCVD or the QRIS score, if not all. Now, which investigations? First and the most important is the ECG. Who needs an ECG? Almost every diabetic patient at the onset of type 2 diabetes and then periodically, at least once in a year, should undergo an ECG evaluation, especially if the age is more than 40 or if it is type 1 diabetes but more than 10 years duration. And especially if patient has end organ damage, microvascular complication, or associated cardiac risk factors like hypertension, dyslipidemia, smoking, or strong family history, they must undergo an ECG annually. Before doing an ECG, physically we must examine the patient in addition to the blood pressure and other things for presence of xanthomas or xanthelasmas, peripheral pulses, and the carotid bruit, which are simple things but are good indicators of atherosclerosis. 2D echo may not be required for every patient, and 2D echo will detect coronary artery disease quite late when there is regional wall motion abnormality. So if suspicion of valvular heart disease is there or for evaluation of LV function, the echo may be required. In all other patients, echo may not be mandatory. A TMT is a good test, but it has positive predictive value of 85% and a negative predictive value of 41%, which means in some patients, it would overdiagnose the coronary artery disease, and in some patients, it would miss the coronary artery disease. But still, it has good positive predictive value, and that's why in an appropriate candidate where it is not contraindicated or where it is not high risk, exercise testing still remains popular. If that is not possible, pharmacological stress testing with stress echo or nuclear testing may be done. Again, both are having positive predictive value of 84 to 86% and negative value of 50 to 56%. Carotid intima media thickness and ankle brachial index are also good markers for diagnosing atherosclerosis in our diabetic patients. But I would like to have more stress on this coronary artery calcium score, CAC, which is determined by a CT scan machine, MDCT, and no contrast is required. It requires very low amount of radiation, less than 1.5 MSV, and hardly takes a minute or two. It has strong correlation with total atherosclerotic burden, and it is better predictor than most of the risk engines or other scores. If the calcium score is 0, you can safely say that this patient is at a very low risk of future coronary event, at least for next 3 years. If the score is between 1 and 100, then it is still low risk, but still you need to evaluate this patient at least once in a year. If score is more than 100, but less than 400, he is a high risk patient for future coronary events. And if the score is more than 400, there is a significantly high probability of myocardial ischemia, and that's why this patient should be investigated or evaluated. In our experience in last 3 years, we have done CSE in 1480 patients about. Score 0 was found in 276 patients. Score 1 to 100 was found in 338 patients of this. Score 100 to 400 in 462 patients, and score more than 400 was found in 403 patients. We evaluated further some of these patients, not all. It was not possible to evaluate all. You can see that there is equal representation of the all numbers, but score of more than 100 was found in significant number of patients and more than 400 in about 403 patients. Now, amongst the patients who had score 0, only one patient turned out to be having abnormal coronary angiography. Otherwise, all the patients, either they were evaluated or not evaluated, but were found to be normal, did not have coronary artery disease. If the score was between 1 and 100, the chances of being normal coronary arteries was quite high compared to abnormal. But if the score was more than 100, but less than 400, the chances of abnormality increased. And if the score was 400, it was very highly likely that the patient had abnormal coronary angiography. Does ADA include coronary artery calcium score in its recommendation? It's level 2B. If ASCVD score is more than 7.5 or in patients with intermediate or high risk CSE, the CSE recommendation is level 2B. But I am very sure that over a period of time, this is going to become level 1 or level 1A. So in spite of all these methods available, there are barriers for the cardiovascular risk assessment. There are guideline barriers, there are patient-related barriers, there are physician-related barriers related to lack of knowledge, lack of perception, and lack of time also sometimes. To overcome these barriers, we have developed a Blue Index, which is a comprehensive motivational score which inspires patients to have their complete evaluation, including the cardiac evaluation, whenever it is necessary. I'm not going to details of this. To summarize or to sum up, I would say whom to screen. Suppose a patient of male 50 comes to you, diabetic, hypertensive, strong family history, obviously we need to evaluate him. If patient is female 40, no comorbidities, probably you may not like to evaluate, just an ECG may be okay. If male is 60 years, he is diabetic, smoker and hypertensive, obviously it is mandatory to evaluate him. If female 60 has chronic kidney disease, again it is mandatory to evaluate it. Evaluation does not mean coronary angiography, but at least one of the risk scores and coronary artery calcium score. In addition to that, ECG and maybe an echo. But of course, if the male is 90, though diabetic, smoker, he has lived his life happily, no need to evaluate him. Just leave him, let him live like this. So to summarize, diabetes we know is a CAD equivalent. Screening asymptomatic diabetic patient remains debatable for Indian patients. I think we are high risk, and that is why at least an ECG and whenever possible, a coronary artery calcium score, which is relatively cheap and non-invasive test, should be done, which is an independent marker of coronary artery disease. And among the risk scores, I think QRIS-3 or GBS-3 is preferred score over the other scores in our Indian patients. I thank the organizers once again. Thank you very much, Swasthya Kon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjeev Pathak, for your wonderful presentation.